Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
Welcome, industrial professionals. Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you for being a part of my day. Really appreciate it. You have joined the #1 industrial-related podcast in the universe. That celebrates you, industry professionals all around the world. I say it all the time. I want you to own it. I want you to bring it in and own it in your heart. Because you're bold, you're brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you collaborate, you're solving problems each and every day. That's why we celebrate you. Own that fact. That's what you're doing. And it is an absolutely exciting time, a renaissance to be in industry. And I'm so glad that you've joined Industrial Talk. In the hot seat, we have a gentleman by the name of Paul Jackson. Now, Paul is with a company called Method.me, which is a CRM platform, but it is nimble. It is powerful. It is designed specifically to help bring in more opportunities for you. Out on his stat card, it's impressive. It's impressive. This is a must-connect individual. All the contact information for Paul is out on Industrial Talk, so make sure that you do that. Put that on your to-do list, because I say it all the time. You got to educate, you got to collaborate, you got to innovate. There's Paul. Make it happen, Captain. Let's get cracking. Yeah. It was a great conversation. I love technology. I love the fact that we are living through this renaissance. It's a really exciting time to be in industry. You gotta know that, because there's so much going on. I don't want you to miss out. I get all giddy about the whole stuff, and as you can tell, I get pretty energetic and pretty animated about the solutions out there, what's taking place. Again, I think we are in a renaissance. It's going to boom, and I don't want you to miss out. That means you up your game. That's what Industrial Talk here is for you. Business. On to business. The book is done. I still have a working title. I want to say Renaissance, but I'm not sure. It's what I have learned from industry leaders over the years about what's happening. And it just basically says, what's the pain point? What are the strategies around the pain point? What can you do to solve it? What are the tools? Which then kits in lines with what I always advocate, and that's the educate, collaborate, and innovate. So that book is out, and you're going to hear more about it, and I'm going to do my part to promote it. But it's really just a book, ebook. You're not going to get something hard copy. Just download the doggone thing. And it's pretty bulletized. I might expand verbally on some areas, but the reality is that I want you to get it, bring it in, do something, create action out of it. And it's been a real honor for me personally to be able to have these conversations with many of these industrial professionals. They have been absolute wonderful conversations and great friendships. That's what industry is, people. You're a person. Industry, definitely download it. Also, a part of that is this tool that has been created, and it walks you through you. You got to have sort of that personal viewpoint when you go through this tool, and it is basically pain relief, right? It's just sort of those juxtaposed realities that exist. If you're a customer, if you have customers, they have pain. Yeah, they do. Whatever it is, I don't know. You're the professional. It could be reflected in the book. But you have to understand your customer's pain as well as the pain relief. You're the pain relief. And it's pretty lengthy, and it asks questions that you might not have thought of. It's free. it's all free. So don't worry about it. It's free. So pain relief, it's a real evaluation tool and then it comes in and we take it and we massage it a little bit, our marketing company, and then we give it to you and hope that you take it to heart and just become more successful. Another point of business, there is a great event. If you're in the medical industry, you need to attend this event. You like Boston? I like Boston. It's in Boston. This conference is in Boston, and it's called Boston ME Device. And it's brought to you by those wonderful people at Informa. They do a great job. I've been very fortunate to be able to be a part of a number of their events. They never, ever disappoint. You in the medical device business, you need to be there. If you're in the medical business, you need to be there. If you're in the manufacturing, yeah, you need to be there. That date is September 30th to October 1st. This year, 2025. ME Device. You'll have that link out on Industrial Talk. But I'm telling you right now, you again, educate, collaborate, innovate. And here's an event that you can soak up the education. You can absolutely collaborate because Informa does a great job at making the right environment to be able to collaborate. And then, of course, it's medical. So it's all innovation. All right. On to the conversation with Paul Jackson. We're talking about CRMs. We're talking about that Nimble solution. We might take some swipes at ERPs just because they're big, gigantic. Some of them are old. Some of them are not just Nimble for this new world, this renaissance. But here's a solution that you need to truly check out. Method, the website is method.me. Just make a note of that. Don't worry about it. It's out on Industrial Talk. So I have you covered. Reach out to him. Here's the conversation. Paul, welcome to Industrial Talk. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Listeners, we've been chirping offline. A lot of similarities. I've enjoyed the conversation. Too bad we weren't recording it, Paul.
Maybe you were, and you're going to use that in the podcast against me.
No, because Zoom just sits there and makes sure that everybody knows that it's being recorded. So, no, you weren't.
I'm sure there's ways.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the topic, which is just going to be riffing on some stuff, give us a little background on who Paul is.
Yeah, sure. I can do a brief one or a long one. Do you want a medium one?
Think about the listener. It better be dazzling. It better be tear-jerky if it's a long one. It better be something that is transformative if it's a long one. If it's a short one, same thing.
Okay.
Make it happen.
I'll do the pyramid principle. You start with a little bit and you kind of layer down. So Paul Jackson, founder and CEO of Method. We make a no-code platform. It's a CRM platform for small businesses. And I think probably what makes us most special to most of our customers is that we sync really, really, really well with their QuickBooks file. So that's what we are and do. How I got here was I ran my own service business and went to university for finance. Absolutely hated it, and then pivoted, got in the software business. Ran a company for 10 years, got acquired, and started up another business called Method, and here I am.
Yeah, today. You have to, because that's what the World Wide Web says. You sell a company, then you have to start another one just because.
Well, you're kind of unhireable after the first one.
It's true. You already know the challenges of starting a business and the heartache and the frustration and the difficult conversations to have with family members.
Well, it's really all you know.
What's that?
It's really all you know. I was probably 33 after I sold my first company. Yeah. So still pretty young, definitely too young to retire, and really had I had an itch I had to scratch. I had an idea, and getting a job versus executing on your idea, it's a
Oh yeah,
pretty easy path to choose there.
yeah. I taught at a university, and if you have that desire to be entrepreneurial and it's inside of you, and you're going to have to act upon it somehow, some way. You've got to address it because it's always going to be there for you. It's interesting that you brought up CRM. There's a lot of CRMs out there. That's an interesting itch to scratch to itch. Anyway, yeah,
It's just scratch. You had it right.
yeah, I got it right the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting because you got the CRM and you have this passion. I don't take us through that journey, because there are a lot of CRMs out there. It's a competitive market.
Yeah. So the first company I had was a field service contractor scheduling and invoicing program. So we had like landscapers and small construction trades,
Yeah.
all scheduling jobs on the calendar and then taking these scheduled jobs, completing them and invoicing them, sending those invoices back to their accounting software, QuickBooks. So that was the first company's like purpose. And what I had witnessed during that business was all these small guys using the software, then getting big, which is great. We feel we had a part to do with that, and then hitting walls because their business had changed and their needs had changed, and the software was only built one way, and so we lose, of course, those customers over time as they got big and they scaled and they changed. So after the company sold, the software company sold, I'm sitting around with the core people who are at the company thinking, what do we do next? Well, let's solve that scaling problem. Like what could we have done differently for companies that outgrew us to stay with us? And we thought, well, there was one thing that was really interesting that they were doing. They were able, even though they were like construction trades, field service companies, not like most technical people that people think. They're far more technical than people realize because they have a will, and they use that will to stay up all night and create these like custom work order templates and custom reports, and they would create these templates themselves. And that we thought was really interesting. So we thought, well, if they were willing to do that themselves, would they actually make their own forms and like app screens themselves, where you input information? Would they do that themselves? And if they did, then they wouldn't have to outgrow the software. And what would that look like? And that was we thought that would be pretty cool. And so that was the idea, was let small businesses who have the will and the technology desire make their own apps. That was where Method was born. Here's the problem though. Back to your question, how do we get to CRM? So here's the problem. So you go to small businesses and you're like, hey, here's an empty canvas, build your own apps. That does not work.
No, it doesn't.
That does not work.
I would shut that one down in a jet second. Like,
does not work.
No.
So you have to start them somewhere, and everyone needs to track their customers. Everyone needs to track their business opportunities, conversations that had, documents, send emails. Everyone needs these things. These are the basis for a lot of the workflows where scaling companies hit their roadblocks. And so start them with a CRM and allow them to change it and build on top of it and append to it. That's what our no-code platform does.
When you say, and again, I've had experience with technology, not to your extent, just enough to make, I stayed at a Holiday Inn, and therefore I think I can talk about it quite a, but when you say no code, I let's say I'm a manufacturer. I'm a small manufacturer. I don't know what that means, but I'm small. I'm very passionate about what I do because I started it. I'm all into my manufacturer. And sorry, my dog's whining. Sorry, listeners, my dog's whining. But how does it take me through that process? I'm the manufacturer. I want to be able to have greater insights into my customers. And then I use QuickBooks because that's really sort of take us through that.
Yeah, maybe an example might be like
Hmm.
a real world example might work.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's a lot of our listeners are into manufacturing, correct?
Oh
Like
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
main
and
piece.
then some. Yeah.
I think that the best method customers we have are actually smaller manufacturers, 2 to 200 employees, who have a manufacturing component and a service component. So I can think of one example that might explain what you're talking about. So there's one guy who does custom medical cabinets. And what's interesting about medical cabinets is that they can come in different configurations, like in terms of the shelves, what each drawer size does, what the depth of the drawers, what the purpose of each drawer is. And so what you end up with these cabinets that are all very custom based on whether it's a doctor or a dentist or whoever actually needs these medical cabinets, what they need for that purpose. So you have these really custom built cabinets. So when you go to your doctor's office, dentist office, you look at them, they're probably a lot different from someone else's cabinets, right?
Yeah, now I'm going to be looking at cabinets in a
Yeah.
doctor's office just because it always fascinates me what gets manufactured. Okay, cool.
I love
Continue.
it. This is the part that I love of my business is just
Yeah,
learning all these different weird
yeah,
businesses out there.
yeah.
And so the estimation process for this one company was so complicated that this guy had built his own Excel sheet, basically his own app in Excel, to do all the possible combinations that would drive a price. But he couldn't trust anyone else to do it because it was such a complicated sheet, and the
Oh,
chance of screwing up was so intense. And he had grown to above 25 staff members, and he was still doing all the estimates himself. And so when he came to us, he said, "Listen, I know you guys sync with QuickBooks. I use QuickBooks. Everyone's telling me to go to an ERP. I don't want to go to an ERP. I don't need an ERP. I just need to solve this problem because, and the problem is, I'm the guy who's still doing all the estimates.
right.
I heard you can do some custom work. Could you actually solve this problem for me?" And so we listened to what he had to do, and which actually was not very complicated. It was just creating a bunch of rules around what can be configured with what cabinet. And so we built it all out using drag and drop for him. So to your question, like, what does it look like? What does no code look like? Could he have done this himself? Could he have created his own estimate app within Method using drag and drop? Yeah. Like all the tools that we use as our team for our customers, they can use themselves. But the reality is a lot of guys want to just have us or another consultant do the work for them because we do what we do and they do what they do. And so he hired us to build this process out where the rest of his team could now create estimates for his cabinet business, and he could do CEO stuff. Um, that's a really interesting story for me because that's what he came in for, solving that one workflow problem and having those estimates flow back into QuickBooks once they were done. But then he ended up just expanding. The number of apps that he built using Method for his business just kept expanding, where he would track the ID numbers of each of these cabinets and have inside the customer screen which cabinets each doctor or customer had, and it could see what the warranty was, what the configuration was. So anyone who's answering the phone could understand what the actual configuration was and can manage these assets on really on the customer site from the contact screen, which there's no CRM in the world that comes with a cabinet tab.
No.
Right. Like, so he had that. So, and then his service team could then go and service this with the handheld information in the field, knowing exactly what they were going to go service. But he just started with, I want to solve estimates. And so I think that kind of answers your question, right? Like what would they come with no code for? Like that, just it's limitless. You can just build your own anything.
So the way I see it, how quickly were you able to help him with that particular request?
Well, so what no code means is it's drag and drop. There's no actual like script. Like, like
Right.
in the movies,
Okay.
you watch like people coding in black and white screens and like all that
Right.
script stuff. There's none of
Right.
that. Like
Green
that's what
screen.
geeks that's what the geeks do back at the office
That's
at
right.
our place. But what you're doing is you're just taking an object on a screen and dragging it to a different place, and then you're saying, okay, when this is clicked, do this, and you go through a little wizard. So you can do in an hour what would take a developer a day. So for him, I think we had that initial project done where he'd explained the process of creating an estimate. And that takes a while to
Yeah.
really understand and download. I think he probably surprised himself when he explained it to our team. Like, this is actually the process I go through in my head in this Excel spreadsheet. But once that was explained, I think the actual work was only about 10 hours worth of work.
No
So
way.
it cost him like $1,500.
No way.
Nothing. Yeah. And it was done
How
within a
much
week.
from doing it all himself to having it in now that is a solution. Quite the tool.
This is why I get up in the morning. It's awesome. Like,
that is awesome.
It's life-changing for someone like him.
Sort of, you brought it up. Sort of, they have the service agreement. So these cabinets need servicing.
Yeah, I assume. I mean, like, we have thousands of customers. I mean, there's thousands of variations. I don't know every single detail, but this story always sticks with me because our team internally loves talking about this guy. But I think the knobs fall off, and I think that there's electrical components to some of these cabinets too that have to be like.
My wife tells me to put the knobs back on. Like, go out there and fix that drawer. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, I'm the service. So with that said, how many deployments do you have? I mean, that just seems like this is a great solutions for companies that are within a certain. You're not going to be the gigantic company, right? Can you do the gigantic company?
Well, you'd be surprised with how big some companies are and still use QuickBooks and just do
No
not
way.
want. Yeah, like you can have multi-$100 million companies still using QuickBooks. Sure, why not? Like, if you think about it, why
It's
not?
true.
Like, so,
why not?
like, what QuickBooks will fail on will be a high volume of transactions that just can't handle a super high number of transactions, or really complex inventory needs that can't be solved with their native inventory or an add-on inventory. But other than that, it's just accounting software. And if you just let accounting software be accounting software, and you have operations software separately, you don't need a 300-person business all inside QuickBooks. You need the 5-person accounting team inside QuickBooks. And so what
I always think it's just go right into the ERP and then go down that road.
Yeah, sure. And sometimes that makes sense, but sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Does it really make sense? Does sometimes. An ERP? I mean, those massive things, I've deployed a couple of them, and
it's horrible, right?
Nothing short of. I'm just, don't get mad at me, but it is a horrible implementation.
Our first investor years ago, who put money into our young startup, I asked him why. And he said, listen, like, I've invested in a lot of companies. I own a lot of companies. And when I saw Method, I thought a formula instantly was QuickBooks plus Method equals ERP. I put people on ERPs, and it is horrible. It is costly. The implementation time is much longer than everyone ever says.
It's more than 18 months. The
staff hate it. Yeah, and the staff hate it. They just wish they had their QuickBooks back. Yeah. And that's why I love Method. No one had ever even really made that formula for me before. I was into still in no code, not into ERPs, but there are definitely situations where an ERP is warranted. I don't want to be like ERP is dead. That is not true. Man. But there are a lot of companies who have grown and have reached a point where there's a bit of dysfunction and crisis, and they will follow the first advice they can reactively get, and that is buy an ERP rather than actually sitting back and running through a process of like figuring out what they actually need. And that's where I think we can come. We can help people figure out that process.
Jeez. Yeah, don't send me any emails about ERPs. It's just my personal opinion. Then you gotta purchase or find the right vendor for that. And it's going to be more than 18 months. Even though they want to say 18 months. It's always more than 18 months.
And the staff won't love it as much as they love the QuickBooks.
And they'll hate it. They'll get aggravated and complain about that, you know. So where do you see it going? So as your companies begins to grow and do what companies do, where do you see your solution going? in the world of AI, in the world of IoT,
well,
in the
yeah,
world
AI
of
gets
this
interesting.
and that. And
So back to what the medical cabinet guy, right? So he
which needs servicing, which just blows me away.
so he and many like him would choose to have an expert customize using the no code for them. The dream is that anyone can simply just type out, "Hey, this is what I need," and it comes to life automatically, and not needing to have a third party do the work for them. So where do I think it's going? I think all no code really will actually be AI driven in due time. So if you can if you can type into a chat an answer series of prompts of what your business problem is, it's not long from now that it will produce software specifically for you that will solve that problem. And that's probably where all no code is going. And when that happens, I don't know if there's a room for non-no code software. Why would you ever buy software that couldn't be customized or is malleable when you could have something that can be made for you using no code?
It's true. That's really that's quite the future. And that was always a limitation with any of these traditional, maybe it's on-prem, then they shoved it into the cloud, whatever it might be, was the flexibility and the ability to configure it the way that I do my business. Gone are the days of saying, I'm just pulling it off the shelf and I'm just going to use what that is. And that never happens. Everybody wants customization,
Yeah, it's like not from my business, and that's my business today. Back to my original Genesis moment that I was telling you
Yeah.
before, where the software we made was fine for them today, but as they change over time, the software's different. The needs of the software are different. So you might have someone who buys an ERP today or any kind of box software that is not malleable, is not customizable, and they're fine. And then they grow or they change, and then they're no longer fine, and they got to do the whole process all over again.
Ooh.
Right? That's painful. And so that's what no code gives you, is the ability just to keep changing as your business changes.
That's
you can
interesting.
think yourself, or you can pay someone else to do it.
I like the AI component. That's an interesting add on. I don't know.
It's not far away.
No, I remember somebody putting in code into a chat, into a prompt, and saying, I'm having a problem with this particular code. And then there's a solution for it. Now, that's not me, because I'm not coding by any stretch of the imagination, but it's able to provide insights and solutions to those things, which just blows my mind. I still think we're at the tip of the iceberg with this AI stuff. How do you put guardrails around AI?
We're going to go there.
Yeah, it just popped into my head. I just realized it. Going, what about those guardrails?
Can you? I mean, so
I don't know. I don't know.
It's like telling your teenage daughter don't drink. Like, she's going to go out and have a drink, right? So I don't think you can put guardrails on it really actually serve any purpose. Like, it's just going to do its own thing.
That's amazing.
The genie's out of the bottle. AI is going to do AI.
Can we come up with some standards? I mean, let's put it this way. I've been reading some stuff around the prompts and how that's where it really starts, accurately defining what you need without it going and bringing back results that are like, nah, that must have been in the prompt that I sent it off this way and it should have been over here or whatever.
Yeah, but the challenge with that, though, is most of the AI engines that are being built are choosing to be proprietary. So like OpenAI, ironically, is not open, it's proprietary, versus open, where you have like Meta, Facebook investing in OpenAI solutions. So you're going to have a lot of competing solutions out there on what the base AI for generative AI, language models are being based on. The one that's going to win is the one that's most useful and helpful to the consumers.
Which one do you use?
So my search engine, I use perplexity.ai. That's rather than Google. It just basically is like ChatGPT for search. I use ChatGPT for various things. Like if I'm making a town hall presentation for my company, I'll use ChatGPT to make all the images. Why would I look at stock art? It can just make images for me now. It's incredible. So it's a lot of fun. But no one's losing their job because I'm using AI images in my mind. Like it's not like the oh my God, jobs are disappearing.
I've been dabbling in Copilot.
Yeah, sure.
Playing around with that.
Our devs use Copilot.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm with your devs.
Yeah, you are. You're just as hip and geeky as my devs.
No, that's never been used. Absolutely not. What are the roadblocks from using your, you come and approach me, I'm a manufacturer, do you integrate with other ERPs? You just have an API of some sort that can interact or?
Yes, we don't integrate with ERPs. We integrate with like inventory solutions. So we'll send things to like SOS inventory and various others. Like we got a lot of our customers who are really heavy in the inventory, and we're not a strong inventory solution. They'll use us as a CRM to get a sale, and then once that sales order is made, they'll say, okay, send it over to SOS inventory, and then from that point forward, SOS will take over, and that's fine. We're not here to be everything. We're here to solve unique points of friction within their lead to cash workflows.
What's the roadblock? Sounds like it's a great solution. Sounds like a wonderful dealio for me. If I can just drag and drop and create, what I need in a fraction of the time.
Yeah, I think so. A roadblock compared to ERP would not be cost, because it's definitely cheaper and less time consuming than cost. But if you're a manufacturer and you're looking at just buying some cheaper off the shelf solution, and not ERP, you might find Method expensive because you weren't thinking of spending $1,500 on a custom estimate screen, right?
Yeah.
Now that $1,500 is very much for that and the whole ROI things, but sometimes if you're not used to it, it can seem like a bit of a shock because you're not doing ROI math. So I think that's a bit of a roadblock. Two is our biggest competition. I think this is very common. It sounds almost like a stereotype, but our biggest competition is not another CRM, another ERP. It's really just not using anything. I was in a meeting yesterday where I was with the marketing team, and they're analyzing where our customers come from. And it was 62% of our customers don't use anything other than Excel and pen and paper. Like that is just mind-boggling. So what's the roadblock? It's adoption of technology versus what they're doing today.
It surprises me.
It surprises you?
It does. That stat surprises me. I thought it would have been maybe a little bit lower. I know that people gravitate toward Excel and then create whatever they need to do in Excel, and that's fine. And I think we're this sort of renaissance when it comes to technology now, that I think there are solutions out there that could really help mitigate the pain. I just think there is. Just got to do a little research.
But it's hard to adopt, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
if
amazing.
you think about that company is going from like 0 to 20, right? And that's probably somewhere in there. That's where whatever they were doing before on Excel and pen and paper stops working. And the key person in the company, usually the owner, is the one who's in charge of all those processes. And now they become the bottleneck for the company.
Yeah.
They're in emergency mode. And that's when they're looking at buying software to help them automate their way out of this mess they've created. This is where my heart goes out to small business owners. Like, I've been there. I get it.
Yeah.
This is where either you adopt it and you keep growing, or you just plateau. And so that's probably why a lot of people are still
languish in your pain. Right? You don't even know the pain is there. You just sort of wallow in it, like, and it's painful. It's ugly. Anyway, how does somebody get a hold of you there, Paul, as we wrap this up? What's the best way? Because how do I get Method for Industrial Talk?
Yeah, I would send you to one place for now. So method.me/industrial talk. Because what we have there is a checklist. So I talked briefly today about you have this like pivotal point where you're thinking, how do I get to? Do I need an ERP or not? And we have a process we help our customers through, but it helps you figure out like your standard operating procedures, what your workflow steps are, and what you should automate, what you should delegate, what you should keep on doing the way you're doing today, but with a standard written operating procedure. So that's at method.me/industrial talk, and I think that's probably the best help I can provide.
That's cool. I like it. I'm all giddy with excitement. That's a cool solution. I like it. All right, listeners, we're going to have all the contact information for Paul out on Industrial Talk. Remember, you need this solution. So don't say, hey, I'm still in pain. Here's a solution. Here's a Sherpa for you. Paul, you're out on, do you sort of engage out on Industrial Talk, Paul? I mean, not Industrial Talk. Yes, you do. No, LinkedIn.
Yeah, I do. I'm
there you go.
Paul Alex Jackson, I think is my little.
Yeah, but you have a little thing. I cracked your code with your email.
After that,
it's asking for an email.
and it's
So no,
method.me.
Don't worry about it. All right. Thank you very much for joining. We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Keep your head on a swivel during this renaissance. We want you to succeed. We want you to do that in a big way. You need to connect with Paul. I'm telling you, he knows what he's talking about, and he can definitely help you achieve the goals that you desire. All the contact information is out on Industrial Talk. Point of Business, the book is done. The evaluation platform that'll help you sort of evaluate your business in a little bit more depth so that you can succeed is out there. It's all ready to go. You'll be seeing more from it, and definitely we'll see some more promotion. One more point. Medical device. You got to go to Boston. Boston's a great place. Right there. Boston. Brought to you by those wonderful people at Informa. Emmy Device. Boston Emmy Device is the event. You need to be a part of it. All right. Be bold, be brave. Dare greatly hang out with Paul. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.